Welcome everyone to the channel. Today, we are embarking on a thrilling journey into the world of ancient Greek myths and legends. You will hear the story of one of the most famous heroes of all time, the mighty Heracles. This is a tale of incredible strength, courage, perseverance, and the ultimate battle against evil. We will discover how the son of the supreme god, Zeus, became the most glorious hero of ancient Greece, what trials he was destined to face, and how he accomplished his famous 12 labors. Epic battles with monsters, perilous journeys to distant lands, and encounters with gods and mythical creatures that people have remembered for over 2 millennia await you. So get comfortable and let's dive together into the amazing story of the great Heracles and his legendary labors. Enjoy the video.
In ancient times, when, according to Greek beliefs, the gods lived on Mount Olympus and often interfered in human affairs, a hero was born whose name has survived for millennia. His name was Heracles. He became a symbol of strength, courage, endurance, and the struggle against evil. Heracles' father was the mighty god Zeus, ruler of the sky and thunder. His mother was a mortal woman, Alcmene. Because of this, Heracles was a demigod. He combined divine strength with human nature. However, his life was filled with danger from the very beginning. Zeus's wife, the goddess Hera, hated the boy out of jealousy toward her husband. She swore to make his life unbearable. When Heracles was still an infant, Hera sent 2 enormous snakes to his cradle. At night, the snakes slithered toward the children to strangle them. But something incredible happened. Little Heracles woke up, grabbed the snakes with his hands, and squeezed them so tightly that they died. Thus, his superhuman strength was revealed for the first time. Years passed. Heracles grew into a tall, strong, and courageous young man. He was taught by the best instructors in Greece, mastering warfare, archery, and swordsmanship. People admired him, but Hera did not forget her hatred. One day, the goddess cast a terrible madness upon him. In this state, the hero committed a dreadful act that he later deeply regretted. To purify himself from guilt, he turned to the oracle of Delphi. The oracle commanded him to serve King Eurystheus and complete 12 labors that seemed impossible. Thus began the great story of the labors of Heracles.
First labor, the Nemean Lion. In the valley of Nemea lived a terrible lion. It was enormous, powerful, and almost invulnerable. Neither swords nor arrows could pierce its skin. The beast attacked shepherds, destroyed livestock, and kept entire villages in fear. When Heracles arrived in Nemea, the people begged him for help. The hero began tracking the monster. The trail led him to a cave with 2 entrances. At first, Heracles tried to kill the lion with arrows, but the arrows simply bounced off its hide. Then Heracles realized that the beast could only be defeated in close combat. He blocked one of the cave entrances with stones and entered inside. In the darkness, a fierce battle began. The lion lunged at the hero, scratched him with its claws, and tried to tear him apart, but Heracles did not retreat. Finally, he wrapped his powerful arms around the monster's neck and began to strangle it. The struggle lasted a long time. Gradually, the lion's strength faded, and in the end, it fell dead. After his victory, Heracles used the lion's own claws to skin it. From that moment on, he wore it as armor, which protected him in future battles.
Second labor, the Lernaean Hydra. The next challenge was the Lernaean Hydra. In the swamps near the city of Lerna lived a terrifying monster with the body of a giant serpent and many heads. Its poisonous breath killed everything living nearby. When Heracles approached the Hydra's lair, he covered his face with cloth to protect himself from the poison. The hero began cutting off its heads with his club and sword, but something terrible happened. For every head that was cut off, 2 new ones grew in its place. It seemed impossible to defeat the Hydra. Then help came from Iolaus, Heracles' nephew. He used burning torches to cauterize the wounds, preventing new heads from growing. Together they gradually destroyed most of the heads. Only one remained immortal. Heracles cut it off and buried it under a huge rock. After the victory, the hero dipped his arrows in the Hydra's poisonous blood. From then on, any wound caused by these arrows became fatal. Third labor, the Ceryneian Hind. The third task was different from the previous ones. Heracles had to capture, not kill, a sacred hind belonging to the goddess Artemis. The hind had golden antlers and bronze hooves. It was extremely fast and could run for many days without rest. Heracles chased it for almost a year. He crossed mountains, forests, rivers, and valleys. Sometimes it seemed he was about to catch it, but it always disappeared over the horizon again. Finally, the hero waited for the moment when the hind stopped near a stream. He carefully wounded it in the leg with an arrow without causing serious harm, and then captured it. On the way back, he met the goddess Artemis. At first she was angry, but Heracles explained that he was carrying out the will of the gods. Artemis allowed him to complete the task on the condition that the animal remained unharmed, and Heracles kept his promise. Fourth labor, the Erymanthian Boar. In the mountains of Erymanthus lived a huge wild boar. Its tusks were sharp like swords. It destroyed fields, ruined crops, and attacked people. Heracles began chasing the beast through the snowy mountains. The pursuit lasted for many hours. The boar was very strong and fast, but the hero gradually drove it into deep snowdrifts. There the boar began to sink and lose its strength. Seizing the moment, Heracles threw ropes over it and tied it up. When he brought the living boar to King Eurystheus' palace, the king was so frightened that he hid inside a large bronze vessel. Thus ended the fourth labor of the great hero. Fifth labor, the Augean Stables. After defeating the Erymanthian Boar, King Eurystheus devised a new task that at first glance did not require heroic strength. He ordered Heracles to clean the stables of King Augeas. Augeas was an extremely wealthy ruler. He owned thousands of horses and cattle. His stables had not been cleaned for many years. Over time, enormous piles of filth had accumulated there. People believed it was impossible to clean them in several years. Eurystheus was certain that Heracles would either fail or spend many years on the task. Arriving at Augeas' kingdom, the hero carefully examined the area. He realized that ordinary labor would not be enough. Then Heracles came up with a brilliant plan. Near the stables flowed 2 large rivers, Alpheus and Peneus. The hero got to work. He dismantled part of the stone riverbanks and redirected the riverbeds so that powerful streams of water would flow directly through the stables. Soon the water rushed forward, washing away all the filth that had accumulated over decades. The powerful current worked continuously until everything was thoroughly cleaned. By evening, the task was completed. People were amazed not so much by the hero's strength, but by his intelligence. Heracles showed that a true hero must be not only strong, but also clever. Sixth labor, the Stymphalian Birds. The next threat came from the Stymphalian Birds. They lived near Lake Stymphalos and terrorized the entire region. These were enormous predatory birds with bronze beaks and metallic claws. The most terrifying feature was their feathers. They could shoot them like arrows, striking people and animals from a great distance. When Heracles arrived at the lake, he saw that there were so many birds that the sky was literally black with their wings. Approaching was dangerous because of the swampy ground. Then the goddess Athena helped the hero. She gave him magical bronze clappers forged by the god Hephaestus. Heracles climbed a hill and began to clatter them loudly. The birds were frightened by the unfamiliar sound and flew into the sky. This was exactly what the hero had been waiting for. He drew his bowstring and began shooting. One after another, arrows struck the monsters. Some of the birds were killed, and the rest left the land forever. The inhabitants of the surrounding settlements could finally live in peace.
Seventh labor, the Cretan Bull. The next task brought Heracles to the island of Crete. There lived a gigantic bull once sent by the sea god Poseidon. The beast had enormous strength and a violent temperament. It destroyed houses, ruined fields, and spread fear among the island's population. The king of Crete was glad when he heard that Heracles wanted to take the monster away. The hero set out to find the bull and soon discovered it roaming across the island's plains. When the bull saw a human, it charged forward furiously. The ground trembled under its hooves. Heracles did not retreat. At the right moment, he dodged the attack, grabbed the bull by its horns, and began wrestling it. The struggle lasted a long time. The bull tried to throw him off, but Heracles held firm and gradually exhausted the beast. In the end, Heracles defeated it, tied it up, and brought it to King Eurystheus. Eighth labor, the Mares of Diomedes. King Diomedes ruled distant lands in Thrace. He owned 4 horses that were true monsters. They were fed human flesh. The horses were so wild that they were chained with iron links. Eurystheus ordered Heracles to bring these horses alive. The hero and his companions set out on a long journey. When they reached Diomedes' lands, a fierce battle broke out. The hero defeated the king's warriors and then faced Diomedes himself in combat. The fight was brutal, but Heracles ultimately prevailed. After the tyrant's death, the horses unexpectedly became calmer. Heracles was able to control them and bring them back to Greece. Thus another labor was completed. Ninth labor, the Belt of Hippolyta. The 9th task was to obtain the magical belt of the Amazon queen Hippolyta. The Amazons were a legendary tribe of warrior women. They lived far from Greece and were famous for their bravery. Heracles arrived in their land by ship. When Hippolyta heard about his mission, she treated Heracles kindly. She admired his fame and courage, and even agreed to give him the belt willingly. But the goddess Hera intervened again.
She disguised herself as an Amazon and spread a rumor that the strangers intended to kidnap their queen. A great battle broke out. Heracles and his companions were forced to defend themselves. After a long fight, the hero obtained the belt and returned to Greece. 10th labor, the Cattle of Geryon. This labor became one of Heracles' longest journeys. He was ordered to bring back the herd of cattle belonging to the giant Geryon, who lived on a distant island at the edge of the world. Geryon was a powerful monster with 3 bodies, 3 heads, and 6 arms. The journey was extremely difficult. Heracles crossed deserts, mountains, and seas. According to legend, during this journey he erected the famous Pillars of Heracles at the entrance to the Mediterranean Sea. Finally, he reached the island. First, he defeated the 2-headed dog Orthrus, who guarded the herd. Then he overcame the herdsman. After that came the battle with Geryon himself. The giant attacked with incredible force, wielding multiple weapons at once with his many arms. But Heracles struck him with a poisoned arrow straight into the heart. Geryon fell dead. The hero took the cattle and, after a long journey, brought them to Eurystheus. 11th labor, the Apples of the Hesperides. The penultimate task was one of the most mysterious. Heracles had to obtain golden apples from the garden of the Hesperides. These apples granted immortality. The problem was that no one knew exactly where the magical garden was. Heracles wandered the world for a long time. During his journey, he encountered strange creatures, defeated monsters, and helped people. Eventually, he found the Titan Atlas, who held the heavens on his shoulders. Atlas knew the way to the garden. Heracles offered to help him. He agreed to temporarily hold the sky in place of the Titan. Atlas went to the Hesperides and returned with the golden apples. But now the Titan refused to take his burden back. Heracles pretended to agree, but asked Atlas to hold the sky for a moment while he adjusted his cloak. As soon as Atlas took the heavens again, the hero grabbed the apples and left. Thus, through cunning, he completed the 11th labor. 12th labor, Cerberus. The final task was the most terrifying. Heracles had to descend into the underworld and bring back Cerberus. Cerberus was a gigantic 3-headed dog with a serpent-like tail. He guarded the gates of the underworld ruled by Hades and did not allow souls to escape. No mortal had ever undertaken such a journey. Heracles descended into the dark passages leading to the realm of the dead. He crossed the river Styx, saw the souls of fallen heroes, and finally stood before Hades. The ruler of the underworld allowed him to take Cerberus on one condition: he must subdue him without weapons. Heracles agreed. When he saw the monster, he charged forward. The 3 heads roared, jaws snapping near his face, while the serpent tail tried to bite him. But Heracles wrapped his powerful arms around the dog's neck and began to squeeze. The struggle was extremely difficult. Finally, Cerberus acknowledged Heracles' strength and submitted. Heracles brought him to Eurystheus. Seeing the 3-headed monster, the king was so terrified that he begged the hero to return it. Thus, the 12th labor was completed. After completing all his tasks, Heracles achieved immortal glory. His labors became a symbol of humanity's struggle against hardship, fear, and evil. Even thousands of years later, the story of the great hero continues to inspire people around the world.
And so, our journey through the ancient pages of ancient Greek mythology comes to an end.
The story of Hercules shows us that true strength lies not only in physical power, but also in courage, endurance, intelligence, and the ability to never give up, even in the face of the most difficult trials. That is why the legends of Hercules have survived for centuries and continue to inspire people all over the world. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss new exciting journeys into the world of myths, legends, and history. Thank you for watching. See you next time and have a great day.